So once again, I want to say thank you for coming on Memorial Day especially, but it's a great day to come together, I think, to pray both online and in person because of all the junk that seems to be happening everywhere, right? How many of us have been to a funeral liturgy? Almost all of us, I'd say, right? And usually at a funeral liturgy, when we get to the, it's okay. It really is. When we get to the eulogy, right? Usually what we find is a person who shares about their loved one, and usually we share pretty much all of our good stuff, right? We rarely share, sometimes, but rarely share much of our sin. We usually share our giftedness. And I think that really points to something. And I think it's something deeper than just not sharing our sinfulness. I really think that maybe it points back to this feast day of the Ascension, because maybe it is when you and I pass away or our loved ones pass away and somebody gets up to eulogize, maybe what they're doing is sharing our holiness and letting our sin die. Isn't that a cool concept? Maybe that's what they're doing. Sharing the fact and the gifts that we shared with them throughout life. And I don't know about y'all, but I've had people die in my life who I've been holding resentments against or grudges against. And all of a sudden, over time, I kind of lose that resentment, that piece of it. And I start to think about the things that I did like, right? Maybe it's really true that what lives on for each of us is our holiness. And maybe really our sin does die when we die. How we can continue to transform the world is by that holiness. You know, we always said absence makes the heart grow fonder. I don't know that is necessarily true, but I do believe that absence creates a unique opportunity, an opportunity like nothing else. That absence creates that unique opportunity for us to enter into an intimacy that's not possible when we're there. Let me unpack that a little bit because it's pretty important. Like when my mom and dad passed away, I'll just use both of them in their instances, or I'll just use my dad. I was really close to my dad, but I could only call him once a week or twice a week or whatever, so while he was here, there was a limited amount of interaction that I could do physically and for him and for me. And yet when he passed, even though the grief was extensive and beyond almost measure, especially right at first, after that, I started entering into these conversations with my dad on a daily basis. I no longer had to wait for him to have enough air to talk. I never had to wait if it was morning or night or noon or whatever. I didn't have to worry about waking him up. I could enter into this relationship in an intimate way that I never had when he was physically present. And I wonder if that isn't also part of this ascension that we celebrate. The fact that what we do in this and what we celebrate in this time together is the fact that maybe by moving on, maybe by ascending to our proper place in heaven, maybe then we can share in each other's holiness. The pain of our loss sometimes, I believe, blocks our access to that holiness because I believe it's always there. I believe it's always there right in front of us, and it's just our relationship with one another that kind of stops, that puts a stop to our holiness. I don't believe the saying that time heals all wounds. I actually believe that time allows us to see the holiness that was already present. I don't think it heals wounds. I think it allows us to see the holiness that's already present. It's like the song at the very beginning of our liturgy, open the eyes of my heart, Lord. I think if the Ascension encourages us to do anything in these coming days, it's to try to find those sparkle moments in our relationships with one another in which we can point out that holiness. Even like Lily running up the altar, that's like awesome. That'll be something you'll never forget because I know we remember that. Those kind of things, like let's point them out and share them with each other. Because it truly is, like St. Exupery said in the Little Prince, it's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What's essential is invisible to the eye. Maybe the gift of this feast, and maybe the gift of this Memorial Day weekend that we celebrate, is that it leaves us with this: the hope and the desire to see holiness, or each other's holiness, while we are present with one another. So that when we ascend, then others may have the opportunity to have absolutely no question about God's love for everyone. Amen.